We record all our classes so that anybody who misses a class can always go back to the recording and uh, understand what all happened in the previous class. So on surrogacy, why do you say it is oppressive if commercial surrogacy is prohibited and uh, relative is not?
Pardon, ma'am, I couldn't hear you.
Why do you think it is? Why do you classify the surrogacy guidelines? This is also still in the making. It's a bill. I don't think it has been passed yet. So when the surrogacy bill permits close relation surrogacy but not commercial, why do you think it is oppressive?
Mm, it's oppressive on the part of the surrogate mother, because at the time of making a contract with the person, she might not develop that kind of sympathy for the child, but maybe within the period of 9 months, maybe she feels that she's carrying it, and she has that sympathy for the child, and she really wants to keep and break that contract. So
No,
somehow
but
it
then
becomes
no, in
oppressive.
that no. Then the your objection is to the very concept of surrogacy and not because commercial is prohibited but the personal is permitted. It's a different position than what the law is providing. Law is saying commercial not permitted, personal you can do that. But what objection you are making, which is a valid one, I'm not at all denying that. It's a valid one, but that is coming from the very concept of surrogacy. What is the counter argument to that, Muhammad?
The counter argument means, ma'am?
What is it that can be said in defense of surrogacy?
In defense of surrogacy, so
Mhm.
there are people who are not as fertile as, there are women who are not as
No,
fertile as.
that's the part. No, no. I'm still talking about the woman who becomes a surrogate mother because you said she is exploited. So, what will be the favorable argument for the woman who wants to become a surrogate mother?
I'm not able to think, I'm sorry.
Okay, somebody has to supply that because as lawyers, you should be aware of, you should be able to think from the other side also.
Ma'am, can you elaborate your question again, if I may answer?
Uh, you said that surrogacy is exploitative of the surrogate mother because she kind of gives up the baby before it is born and because she undertakes the obligation of handing over the baby, but during pregnancy she might find attachment to the baby. So that can happen even in relationship category as well as in the commercial category, right? So that was
Yes.
my first objection, that to say that commercial is not permitted, personal is permitted, and it is oppressive, that's not understanding the difference between the two or the similarities between the two. Now I'm saying that if your argument is that the surrogate mother may not know exactly that whether she will develop attachment or not, and therefore it is oppressive for her. Can you think of a circumstances where the surrogacy is useful, helpful, empowering to the surrogate mother?
Ma'am, it can be an opportunity for women's, say for instance a prostitute, or say some other women who doesn't have any source of income, and money always empowers a person, and if she can do it, because there are very like rich people who because of some circumstances cannot have a baby, and that sort of contract can empower that women who doesn't have any sort of say facilities, and
Mhm.
being in such a surrogate contract and being that mother, and she might get some benefit which in western countries people do get, like the
Mhm.
surrogate mother gets it. So seeing it as at a different perspective, I think a surrogate mother, if she doesn't develop that kind of sympathy for the child during the pregnancy, she might get benefits from the law if law permits surrogacy.
Yeah, so that's what, no, we are managed to think of both the sides. And then we have to kind of decide that what I think is my position. But unless we think what is the positive and what is the negative of a particular scenario, then as a lawyer, we cannot weigh the pluses and minuses. So certainly, if you look at it from that perspective, that womb is an asset to the woman. If she wants to use it to, for what, no, whether she might do it for the altruistic purpose or she wants to do it for uh, commercial purposes, she should be able to use the asset, whichever way she wants to. You want to give autonomy to her. But in order to ensure that the women are not exploited because they have an asset, you have to have regulations. So, and even in commercials, when we say commercial surrogacy, at no point of time legally it has been recognized that she will get money out of this. It
Yes,
has
ma'am.
always been said that she will be provided health care and she will be delivering the baby, and it is always been projected as being altruistic rather than commercial activity. So certainly, in both the scenario, because somewhere if we say that this is kind of using as an asset, then what will be required will be recognizing the surrogate mother. But in the whole contract, the surrogate mother goes underground. So whether she does it for money or whether she does it for love, she is not to be acknowledged. So all these celebrities who are saying, we got these babies from surrogacy. So the babies are projected as babies of the two of the couple, but the mother who actually gave birth to that baby is nowhere in the picture. Is never acknowledged. So that is not very happy situation. So one will have to think about that. What is it that what we want to promote? And then this whole question about
Excuse me, pardon me,
inability.
ma'am.
Yes, Abeg?
But isn't that her choice, matlab? Oh, sorry. I mean, she must have been told, or she must have agreed to certain things, right? It must have been like she must not be named or she must not be recognized or something like that. She must have agreed to
No,
it.
no, no, but
That's
that's
why
the whole
she's.
question, that whether the women who undergo surrogacy, when you look at studies done on surrogacy, these are always economically poor women who are doing surrogacy. So do they have the equal bargaining power? Whether the law has enabled them to, has empowered them to have the bargaining power to say, these are my terms and conditions. I'll give you a baby, but these are my terms and conditions. So if I want to be in contact with the baby after birth, suppose I do develop affection for the child, I will still give it to you. And also, there are lots of issues there, but we do not want to discuss surrogacy today. But this is an example where one can look at the pluses and minuses from different perspective. So
Yeah, ma'am.
from the perspective of the what we call as the commissioning parents, it is a very empowering legislation. It is a very empowering scenario where they can have a child when they cannot have it or they do not want to have it from their own body. So then your moral question that should only those people should be allowed to go for surrogacy who cannot have, or should the women who do not want to have because their body will be disfigured, should they be allowed? There are lots of questions around surrogacy, and it all depends on from whose perspective, for whose benefit we are wanting to do it. So certainly, when we talk about after surrogacy, what is the process by which the commissioning parents get the babies through adoption? Adoption law always says that you will give a child an adoption in the best interest of the child. In surrogacy, we assume that the commissioning parents are the best parents for the child. And in America, there is a very celebrated case of baby M, in whose birth five adults were involved. So there was a commissioning father, there was a commissioning mother, there was a donor mother, and there was a donor father, and there was a surrogate mother. And at the end of the day, everybody changed their mind. Changed their mind in the sense that the surrogate mother, the donors, never wanted to have a baby. They were doing it for the couple who wanted to have them. And that couple separated by the time the child was born. So neither of them wanted to have the baby alone. So five adults involved and child is left without a parent. So child was declared by the court as without any parent. So this whole surrogacy business is not in the best interest of the child in all scenario. We cannot assume that the parents who are so lovingly wanting the child today will continue to look after the child tomorrow. There are lots of questions. It's all a question of from whose perspective you are examining the law to determine whether it is empowering or disempowering. So that's something we need to really understand. Okay, so what is your view on crime? What is crime?
Anything which is done with a bad intention, Uh,
Like,
like theft
okay.
or pickpocketing is something. Uh,
So
Kidnapping, these
businessman, if
kind
the
of.
businessman evades tax, it's a crime?
Yes, ma'am,
It
it's a
is, ma'am.
crime.
It's a crime.
Yes,
In
ma'am.
my opinion, ma'am, a crime would be a wrong or a harm done to a society or a person or
Mm-hmm.
an individual. I mean, so that will be a
So,
crime.
so demanding dowry, is it a crime?
Demanding dowry,
It
ma'am,
is, ma'am.
obviously it is a crime.
Is
In,
giving
uh,
dowry a crime?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
like in the eyes of law, it is. So it is.
Yeah, so that is in the eye of law only from 1961. Before 1961, we did not have a law. So whether it was a
Uh,
crime then or not a crime.
No, it is not a crime if it is not mentioned in the books of law.
It
So
was
then we are
crime, ma'am.
saying crime is something which is declared as crime by the law.
Ma'am, as per morally, it is a crime. It was a crime.
Anything which
So
includes
morally,
malafide
morally, marrying, no. Morally, marrying across the caste will be a crime. But is
but
that a
ma'am,
crime?
for giving the dowry, I think
Hmm.
like it's every parent's I don't know goodwill or something that, or maybe they would have thought of when they had a daughter that they will do this or that for her,
Mm-hmm.
and by that reason they send presents and something like that, but it is termed dowry. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so the intention was wrong or something like that.
No,
I
there are
mean,
two
I'm
words.
just
There are two words. One is dowry, the other is stridhan. Stridhan
okay.
are the presents given only for the use of woman. So her jewelry,
Okay.
her clothes, whatever we give to her, which she alone will use, are called as stridhan. It's her exclusive property.
Okay.
Dowry are the items which are used by the whole family, including her. If you give a fridge, for example, she'll also use the fridge, as well as the others will use the fridge. So it is not for her exclusive use.
Okay, but what if the groom is not so well settled up or something, but the bride is, and their parents think that they should help the groom with all the stuff or all the necessities required. So
Mhm,
I don't think so. That would be wrong.
mhm. So are we saying that everything which somebody thinks is a wrong is a crime?
No, ma'am, it is not a crime.
That
We have to see it in a larger
that is
perspective.
quite
Ah,
debatable.
so suppose you have borrowed money from somebody and you promise to return that money. You don't give that money back. It's a wrong cost to that person. You said you will return and now you're not returning. But will that be a crime?
No, ma'am.
So how do we determine which wrong is crime and which wrong is not crime?
Ma'am, there are two
Which is
things.
punishable
One,
by law.
It is
So if
exactly.
it
That
is
is why we
The
have
punishable
bad
law,
by,
I guess,
intention.
ma'am.
in the term,
That
Or
in
is
the
when you
why we
eyes
have
of
have
a
law.
bad
law.
intention.
Which is
yeah, no.
injurious
Bad
to public
intention. So
welfare.
suppose you are praying every day. I want such and such of my enemy dead. Then I'm doing my prayers every day. And one day when I was driving, he actually comes under my wheels and dies. Have I committed a crime?
No,
Depends
ma'am.
No,
upon the
ma'am.
Oh.
intention.
No, I told you I have been praying every day
But we
that
didn't
he should
have the
die.
intention to kill that person at that time.
Exactly.
At that time, I did not have the intention,
Yeah.
but my action of driving still resulted into his death.
Then it
But
is
you
So I've
not a
didn't
been
crime.
wanting
intend
it
to
and it
kill
is
that
my
person.
act.
If one is having the malified intention, then it can be called as a crime.
Okay. So a man hit his wife. She became unconscious. He thought she's dead. So he hung the body to present it as a suicide case. She died of the hanging and not because of the blow he had given. So which offense has he committed?
Ma'am,
He is
grievous
Murder?
guilty
hurt.
of
Grievous
of
Negligence,
the
ma'am.
blow.
Previous hurt.
He will be
Gri-
guilty of grievous hurt, not of the death or something.
Why grievous hurt?
Ma'am,
Ma'am,
because she
culpable
died.
homicide.
Because he
Because she
hung
died
him.
for the blow that. No, because
Yeah,
she
but
died.
she no. She did not hang herself. No, it is he who hanged her.
No, it would be culpable homicide, not murder.
I think.
Why
Ma'am,
Katya,
culpable
homicide, not
homicide,
murder?
Because
not amounting to murder.
Ma'am, because he thought she was already dead when he hit her.
yeah.
Huh. So then I must know whether the other person has a problem or not. And if I do not know this and I cause an action, then I will not be held liable. So I do not know where is liver. Okay. I'm not a medical student. So I give a stab wound to somebody in the stomach and it lands on his liver and he dies. So will I be held liable or not? Because I did not know. I thought it was just a simple stab wound.
But it is assumed that a common man knew that when he's hitting her in the stomach or somewhere, she can be dead.
It is pre-assumed that this thing can cause the certain consequences.
It was
Yeah,
likely to cause the death.
So what
Yeah.
are the parts, let's check our awareness level. What are the parts which we all know will result into death if we hit at that person?
Head.
Head.
Okay. So, okay, if I hit a person only on hands and legs, no head, no heart, no stomach, I give various lathi blows to this person on the arms and legs, and he dies.
It depends on the intensity of the lathi blows you gave.
Culpable
No, but
homicide
it is not on
amounting
the
to
vital
murder.
parts at all. It is not on the vital parts at all. And intention, how do you determine intention? He's apparently showing that he didn't want to kill.
If it was one or two lathis, maybe the person will not die. But if it will be like more number of lathis, and this probably the person will die.
Yeah, but I mean, how many of us have that knowledge that how many number of lathi blows on the arms and legs can result into death?
Even but I think if we are hitting someone,
The
then we
question
are
we're
going to.
asking is to what extent the knowledge of the person about the consequences of his act are required. But we're kind of jumping a number of steps. We first of all want to go back to the question of what is crime. So you said one of the thing I heard was that harm should have been caused. Another thing I heard was you said that it should be punishable by law.
Malified intention.
The moment intention is necessary. So if I do not know, abhi aaj tak baad mein hai, I think that one of the cricketers went to Kashi and he was feeding the birds on the Ganga during his boat ride. So he did not know that feeding the birds is punishable. So should he be punished or not punished?
Yes, ma'am. He should be punished.
He should be punished even if he had no intention to violate the law.
Yes, ma'am. Ignorance is ultimately it's not excuse.
Ignorance of law is not excusable.
Yeah, but then you said the intention. If he does not know, then how can you be punished? He doesn't have an intention to violate the law. So
Not
then
intention.
then we are saying intention is not compulsory for punishing somebody.
But it all depends upon case to case, ma'am. We cannot apply everything on one incident.
Cases
We have
of
to
strict
see lot of
liability does
things
not
behind
need
the
the intention.
behind the crime. We have to see other aspects also. We cannot give a judgment on the basis of one point. We have to see multiple things. Then we decide it's a crime or not a crime.
Okay. So Satyam Shekhar, what are you presenting? You're not supposed to be presenting anything. Stop sharing. Satyam Shekhar, stop sharing, please.
You want to check that icon, ma'am?
Yes, you can all do that. You all have the power to present, but you need to have a material to present.
So, ma'am, may I ask you something?
Sorry?
May I ask one question, ma'am?
You can ask a question, but why do you need to share the screen because of that question?
I'm not, ma'am.
Who's speaking, Satyam or?
I'm Aditya, ma'am.
Aditya, because I can see different Aditya. Okay. Satyam, please stop sharing.
Okay.
Yes, Aditya.
Ma'am, as you have told in a previous question, in the question of surrogacy, that we have to think every aspect by the two sides as we are pursuing a law.
Minimum two, there may be more.
Yes, many more. But my question, while we think about the multiple perspectives, we have to, our thought should we abide by the law, or we can also go beyond the law or beyond the legal aspects. Like whatever we are giving the answers right now is just what we have did in our preparation of law entrance exams. But
Okay.
while we give the answer of any of your questions, can we go beyond the law or out of the box while giving the answer?
Therefore, there are levels of thinking about law. One is that if you are the lawmaker, suppose you are given the responsibility of making a law, what considerations will you have in order to determine which law should be? As lawyers,
Satyam,
many a time,
Satyam, please mute your mic.
Muskan, Satyam, everybody who is not speaking, mute your mics. Yeah, so anybody who wants to speak can unmute. Satyam, you are this. Satyam,
मैम वो फोन रख के चला गया कहीं लगता.
हाँ ऐसे ही करते हैं बच्चे ना. So Aditya, it's a question of that there are various levels of thinking, and as lawyers we'll have to think of at different levels. Sometimes we might ask you what is the law, then they ask the question why is the law so, or when say should the law be like that, should any changes be made, should there be another law, should a new law come in. So all these different questions have to be answered at different times. So sometimes when you're looking at surrogacy law, for example, is the law going in the right direction when it says the transgender person cannot go for surrogacy? So that's a question of should there be law for them or should there not be a law for them? Whether the desire to have their offspring is as much present in the transgender person as it is in a male or a female. So there may be a lot of questioning of the law. There's questioning of the law is never a bad thing. And as lawyers, many a times you will be challenging the constitutionality of the law. The Constitution says equality. And whether this will amount to discrimination on the basis of sex. If you say that the intersex person or the transgender person cannot have a child, so of course, what will the court's approach or the legislature's approach? They will say, oh, this is not only sex, there is a lot more other things. But what are those other things? We need to identify them. So certainly, there are different levels of conversation. In criminology, we will constantly say, recent example you've seen in the newspapers. Adultery was on the statute book till very recently, I think a year back. Till the time in Shani Ahuja, the Supreme Court said it is not an offense. It is unconstitutional. The first thing we need to learn is that when we talk about crime, it's always the category which a state declares to be a crime. Then the second question is, what are the criteria with the government to determine whether certain action is a crime or not? So for example, when we had food scarcity, hoarding more than 100 kgs of grains, wheat, was an offense. Or running a certain thing without a license is an offense. So why? There's nothing inherently wrong about it. No? So we will say that wrongs can be classified into two categories. One we call as mala in se, which has an inherent capacity to cause harm. And this will be true in all circumstances. And a simple example given of that is murder. But the moment we start asking that thing, that whether intentional killing of another human being, is it an offense in all circumstances? Then we say no, not in certain circumstances, because soldiers are trained to kill intentionally at the border to defend the country. Person can kill in private defense. So there are a lot of exceptions to that rule. Women were committing sati, sometimes forced, and when they were doing jauhar. So whether these are actually voluntarily killing, whether killing yourself. So when we come to suicide, 309 was there, that attempt to commit suicide is an offense. So all these women who were committing sati, and we're talking about voluntary category. So even assuming that there were certain women who were committing sati or they committed jawhar voluntarily. So if any of them survived, should they be held for attempt to commit suicide? So there are lots of questions, and one principle in law is that there will be a general rule and there will be exceptions to the general rule in the law itself. So when all of you were saying it will have to be seen in the individual circumstances, that's also correct, that there might be exceptions sometime because of the individual circumstances of the person concerned. Sometimes the law as a general category introduces exceptions. So our general principles, you're all right. When you
Excuse me,
said
ma'am.
mens rea is an essential component for committing an offense. But then there are offenses which are called of strict liability. The general rule is mens rea required. Exception is that if there are certain laws, certain categories of laws, where ignorance of law is no excuse. So ignorance of law means that you did not know that doing it is an offense. So for example, when Salman Khan killed that black buck, he may not have known that killing the black buck doing the hunting expedition is an offense, but he should still be held. He has still been prosecuted for that offense. So there will be a number of circumstances where there is nothing inherently wrong. Raja Maharaja used to do a lot of hunting. They used to kill everybody, every animal in the forest. But today, killing lots of animals, you just can't go hunting anywhere and kill animals. There are a lot of regulation there. There are a very serious categories of animals which are about on the verge of extinction. Then there are others who are now presently with the bird flu, we are saying cull them all. So there are lots of scenarios in which exceptions have been created. Somebody was raising a question.
No
Muhammad
question, ma'am.
Shakib Muhammad Shakib is constantly writing again and again that you are from Missouri, you do not have good internet. That's true, that's all right. If you're not a good internet, you try to make the best of what you can.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yes.
Ma'am, why is suicide a crime? Attempt
It's
to
no more.
suicide.
It's no more today. Now it has been abolished. But that's also an important question, that whose life is it? Whether my life is my own. If it is my own, then I can do anything to it. But we have put lots of restrictions and saying that no, my life is not my life. So today we say people who are today the latest position is that it is a mental health issue, and the person should be provided mental health support if somebody is attempting to commit suicide. Because we had long history of decisions here. So at one point of time, it was declared unconstitutional, then it was put back, it was declared unconstitutional because it said that right to life includes right to die. Then the other bench of judges came and said that no, the two cannot coexist. So when we say right to speech, also means right not to speak. But it said that both the right, if you exercise one right, the other doesn't extinguish. But in case of life and death, if you exercise your right to die, then you're extinguishing the other right. And these are not two sides of the same coin. So it has to be different coin altogether. So then it was said that no, it's not unconstitutional. It is there. But now we have the latest position saying that no, people who try to commit suicide, they have to be provided support because it is a cry for help. These are showing that I'm so desperate, I'm so unhappy that I don't want to live. So if support is provided to them to see the positive side of life, to give them support to live a better life, that's what now happens. But the argument has come that our life belongs to either God or to the state. And that is why the state can put reasonable restrictions on our right to life. I think we need to stop today. As of now, our next class is scheduled at the same time on Wednesday. Tomorrow is Republic Day. So have a happy Republic Day. We meet again day after tomorrow. Are you aware of your case material? It's already available in Law of Crimes on the faculty website. Please download it. Have a look at the content page as to what are the range of offenses we are going to read and study in this course. if
Ma'am,
I
how
can,
attendance system
attendance,
for
ma'am?
today or
sorry, attendance,
Ma'am,
put your attendance as, write down P against your, just put P in your chat box and I'll copy that.
okay, madam. Thank you.
So everybody write down, put down your presence by just writing P, chat box.
गुड इवनिंग मैम, मैम की क्लास चल रही है?
हाँ जी,
ये कौन से सेक्शन की क्लास चल रही है?
आप कौन से सेक्शन में हैं?
मैम एच।
ये H की नहीं है, ये G की क्लास है।
ओ थैंक यू मैम।
आप यहाँ कैसे पहुंची?
मैम कोई बच्चा लिंक में, हमको समझ नहीं आया। नया ही
हाँ, नहीं,
ज्वाइन।
बच्चों से, सबके बच्चों को रिक्वेस्ट है कि आप लिंक शेयर नहीं करेंगे, जो जिस सेक्शन में है वो वहीं अटेंड करेंगे क्लासेस। तो ठीक है, लेट्स स्टॉप रिकॉर्डिंग।
thank you.